Hi everyone, my name is Simon O'Brien and welcome to a new edition of Who Will Win series, and it's going to be Yang Xiaolong from RWBY versus Joseph Joestar from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Battle Tendency. Now, for this fight, I'll be focusing on the base stats and the weaponry, and I'll also go into trump cards and skill set, and for Joseph, I'll be going into his intellect, which will play a prevalent role into this fight, and finally, who I personally think is going to win. Now, I've done Yang Xiaolong in the previous episode with Yang versus Lione, but most of the info in that episode is virtually here, although I did have a couple of tweaks with it this time. So what I'm going to do is just go for a recap, basically, and I will add like minor details for Yang and all that, so there's that. And as for Joseph Joestar, I will be going into just the Battle Tendency version and not just the his entire series run, because in Battle Tendency, that's where he did the most feats, in my opinion. So, there's that. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, let's start with Yang Xiaolong. Now, as I said before, Yang Xiaolong is a very strong combatant in RWBY. She can actually knock down 10 feet tall Grim easily without activating her semblance, which I'll get into later on. She can also tag building level to large building level characters, and she can also take down, say, like, characters that are stronger than her, basically, and all that. She's also stalemated Nora Valkyrie in an arm wrestling contest, and Nora's the same one who pierced a scorpion stinger through a scorpion's carapace. Yeah, pretty impressive stuff. So there's that. And also, Yang has also overpowered groups of enemies without even activating her semblance or not even trying at all. So yeah, she is pretty strong in the strength department. Possibly multi-building level or just building level at base strength, but yeah, multi-building level when the semblance is activated. So there's that. Now, for speed, Yang is very fast. She can react to hypersonic speeds from Ruby, Rose, and Lyran and Mercury, and even Emerald and Neon Cat, and they reach about hypersonic to massively hypersonic speeds, especially Lyran, who can actually attack with just like faster than I can track speeds and all of that. So yeah, that's pretty good. Yang can also dodge, deflect, and see the trajectory of bullets that are shot at her. She can also dodge a bit of laser fire. She can also dodge basically groups of enemies shooting at her. Basically, yeah, she's basically above bullet timing at the very least. So there's that. Now, for durability, durability is one of Yang's strongest points in this fight. She can do an attack from a paladin mech that was piloted by Roman, and it punched her through a pillar. Then not only did Yang just stand back up, she actually got off more pissed off than ever, and basically felt nothing at all after the sheer force of that punch. Now, this is actually a very significant stat here for Yang, and it's also a significant feat on its own. But that's not. It's not just Yang's best feat. It's also her basically the seal, the deal for her durability capabilities. So there's that. And other durability feats for Yang is like getting knocked up into the sky by Nora Valkyrie after getting launched into the air by her watermelon hammer. And when Yang fell down, she was kilometers high and kilometers down. When Yang fell down, she did not feel anything at all. All she did was just smile, gave a thumbs up, and that's it. So that's still a very good durability feat for Yang. So there's that. And other durability feats for Yang is like tanking hits from Grim creatures. She's also got chewed by like a 15-foot tall Grim creature that was actually like in the Yang character short and for Volume 5. She was trying to save Ruby, and this Grim creature was chewing down on Yang, and Yang basically defeated the Grim creature anyway, but she was knocked out, but not seriously injured though. But yeah, you get the idea. Yang is very tough, so she can withstand about 100 tons of force, or even 200 tons. So yeah, that's pretty impressive for Yang. Now, so Yang is looking very strong here in terms of base stats, but now let's look into the weaponry. Now, Yang's iconic weapons are the Ember Silica and the robotic arm she gets later on. Now, I'll start with the Ember Silica. They're gauntlets, right, that Yang uses for both close range and long range combat. And when you get punched by Yang when she's using the Ember Silica gauntlets, it will feel like a shotgun blast on base strength. But when she goes activate her semblance, it's basically like feeling like a building topple down on you and all that, or a truck. Yeah, Yang packs a lot of firepower with these punches, but she's not just all about punching. Like I said before, she is very good at long range combat as well. She fires rockets that can blast off grim creatures and large building level characters, and she even knocked back Nyan Cat with one of her rockets, which is pretty good. And they're also very fast too. Like at one time, she stalemated a deadlock between herself and Junior, who was firing rockets at her at rapid succession in the yellow trailer. So yeah, that's really impressive stuff. So there's that. And eventually though, Yang got her arm cut off by Adam over the course of the series. Spoiler alert. And she eventually replaced it with a robotic arm. And basically, the robotic arm is virtually the same thing as the Embasilica. It's not really a gauntlet. It's just a robotic arm that is outfitted with like a gun and all that, and rocket capabilities and all. So yeah, basically that's it. It also has a shotgun function. So yeah, but virtually the same thing. So Yang is very strong here in terms of stats and weaponry. And now we can go into Ultimate Trump cards. Okay, so this is. She has the semblance here, okay? And what the semblance does for Yang is that when she gets more damage, she would redirect it back with greater force. It's like how Captain Marvel absorbs energy blasts, and then she absorbs it and redirects it back with greater force. But it's just that with Yang, it's more about kinetic force and then redirecting it back. So yeah, it's pretty impressive stuff. But the thing is, the drawback here is that, as stated by Tai Yang Xiaolong, she can still feel the damage of the force, so she can't really take too much damage, otherwise she'll hurt herself in the process. But still, once Yang activates her semblance, basically, you'll be already dead. Yeah, but she does pack a wallop when she activates her semblance, so there's that. So, there you go. But like the time when she did with Roman's Paladin mech, when after Yang got hit through the concrete pillar, Yang got back up, punched the mech, and completely shattered it, and Roman was completely blown away by it. So, yeah. Very, very impressive. So, there's that. So, Yang's a badass at stats, weaponry, and drum cards, but her weaknesses here is that she can be very unpredictable in the fight due to her confidence and, what do you call it, predictability over time, but then over Ruby, I would say that she's going to get more and more mature with her fighting skill, and she's going to get more skillful over time. So yeah, as of this video, she's going to get more skillful and all that. So yeah, there's that. And then she's also she can, once her aura gets depleted, right? Yang could actually get hurt by normal means of attacks and all that, and a smart enough component could actually try and bypass her aura if given the chance with a lot of opportunities. And Yang isn't entirely invincible to other characters. She can get knocked down easily and then get exploited to an opening for a kill shot or knocked down. So there's that. But still, Yang is basically one of the most badass characters of all time. And yeah, absolutely love Yang. One of my waifus actually. So there's that. So, yeah, there you go. Now, let's go into Joseph Joestar. Now, Joseph Joestar is one of the most interesting characters ever. I will focus on the base stats first, but then I'll go into certain capabilities for Joseph Joestar that basically sees him as a bit of a threat to Yang in some way. Okay? So, let's go to strength. Joseph Joestar is basically peak human in terms of strength. And it will be amplified by the use of his ripple, which I'll mention later on. But one of his best strength feats is again lifting himself up with 2 fingers. Up, yeah, that's pretty cool. And he uses wire, and he had enough strength behind those wires to slice off AC/DC's arm, who is one of the 3 Pillar Men. And the Pillar Men are actually vastly superior humanoids to humans that are actually much more powerful and smarter. But Joseph actually defeated these Pillar Men, though. So, mind you, he has taken on enemies that are vastly superior to him in terms of stats. So there's that. He can also, for strength, he can also stay on top of an orderly wall for about 24 meters, right, tall, and he stayed there for about 60 hours. Now, that also counts as an endurance stat, but it's also strength because of his upper body strength and lower body strength is helping him to stay up there. But yeah, still, for Joseph to endure that much, that is very impressive, actually. So there's that. Now, for speed, now Joseph has an interesting speed here. He can react to and dodge Straight So's eye fluid attack, and it's basically like a laser. So that puts him at massively hypersonic to borderline FTL speeds, which is very good. Although I'm more or less saying it's hypersonic because we're not sure if it's actually a full-on laser or just an eye fluid attack. But I'll just say it's basically massively hypersonic. So it's basically both in the middle. So there's that. He can also react to attacks from, say, AC/DC, WAMU, Kaz, and Santana. And yeah, they're massively hypersonic characters. Although Kaz is possibly the fastest out of all of them. I mentioned later on. And also, Joseph can run very fast. Well, when I mean run very fast, that's like the ultimate secret technique for every Joestar. They always run away when they are about to lose a fight or against overwhelming odds. But yeah, Joseph is very smart for what he does, which I'll get into later on. So, now for durability. Now, Joseph's durability is interesting here because he's still peak human, but he has accomplished a lot of stuff in terms of durability. Like, at one time, he was facing Santana, and he allowed himself to get absorbed by Santana, and Santana can destroy things on a cellular level, and Joseph survived that attack, or it's more or less like trying to grab him anyway, so there's that. But yeah, still, Joseph survived a cellular level attack. That is actually very impressive for Joseph here. And he also has taken hits from the Three Pillar Men, and especially Kaz. Kaz, when he was on his ultimate form, actually basically attacked Joseph's leg, and it was said to be comparable to the temperature of the sun. And Joseph tanked it. He did get hurt a lot, but he did tank that attack, so that is still very impressive. And finally, my favorite feat from Joseph was when he got his arm severed, right? Then eventually Kaz and Joseph were erupted from the platform from a volcano, right? And they go up into the atmosphere. And Joseph eventually prevailed against Kaz after using his severed hand to knock him into space. And not only did Joseph survive the ordeal, but he was in the upper atmosphere for the most of the fight. And he was falling down to Earth again. And Joseph should have been dead, but he survived it. Let me get this straight, okay? Joseph, who is basically peak human at best, survived a atmospheric re-entry. I cannot fathom, or I can't believe how someone as badass as Joseph survived that. Anyone actually tried that, they'll be dead before they reach the ground, or even reach the sky anyway. But no, Joseph survived it like a true badass. I absolutely love Joseph. So there's that. Yeah, so basically Joseph is very good in terms of stats, despite being human. And now I'm going to go into his weapons. Now, interestingly enough, he has a lot of weapons, but he doesn't really use them as much as you would think, except for one. I'll use his most iconic weapon. They are the clackers. And now these clackers are like these balls of string attached to like yo-yos and all that, and or attached to metal balls, depending on how you see it. And what they do is that they allow Joseph to amplify his attacks with ripple and all that, which I'll mention later on. And they're very versatile. Like, they're good for long range and close range combat. And they also help Joseph with his trickery and all that. So there you go. There's that. He also has a Thompson gun. He only used it once against Straight So, but it is a very powerful weapon. And it's basically the same type of Thompson as you see from a regular Thompson submachine gun in real life. So there's that. He used a sledgehammer against WAMU. Or is it WAMU? Oh yes, I think it is WAMU in the chariot race. And he also, in that same chariot race, he also used a heavy crossbow to do a trick shot on WAMU, and actually succeeded, I believe. Yeah, I say it has succeeded. So there's that. So basically, Joseph has a lot of weapons for tricks up his sleeve. He also uses a wool hat when he uses against AC/DC to make a trap, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So another thing about Joseph is that he uses the environment to his advantage. So basically, he can use the environment as a weapon. So yeah, it's very handy of him actually to do so. Now, in order to use these weapons at their full potential, he uses Ripple. Now, Ripple in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is basically like the main source of attacks by characters before the introductions of Stans and Stardust Crusaders. But let's focus on Ripple here. Okay, Ripples are basically like the life energy of all the good characters in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And they are used to combat the force of evil, like Dio Brando and the Three Pillar Men. Joseph is really good with Ripple. He can use Ripple Overdrive, he can use Ripple Zoom Punch, which what he does with the Zoom Punch is that he dislocates his shoulder, I believe, and makes it for a longer attack. So, basically it's like a melee range attack that actually gets longer when you dislocate your shoulder. So, that's a very bizarre move. Well, it is called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for a reason, so there's that. He can also use Ripple to course through his clackers, and these clackers can actually, with the Ripple, clackers can slice through enemy flesh and all that, which is very devastating. And he can also use Ripple to open a Coke bottle and open the lid, right, and smash it against a corrupt police officer's fingers. So yeah. So basically, Ripple's basically like amplifying someone's potential with other objects to make them even deadlier weapons in combat. And he also has a couple of nice tricks up his sleeve and all that, which will be going into intellect. Now, what I love about Joseph here is that he uses his brains to attack his opponents. He very rarely fights with brute force, but Joseph is very, very crafty and tricky to take on. He has outsmarted the Three Pillar Men, even Kaz, who's the most intelligent of them all, who is also the closest to kill Joseph out of all the characters in Battle Tendency. He has outsmarted the likes of, say, a couple of thugs and all that, and corrupted cops who held him at gunpoint and all that. And he's also very tactical with his opponent, and he normally actually has to do it with prep time, but for the most part, he has taken on opponents on the fly, like, without prep time at all. So, there's that. And he can also lay on traps on the fly as well, with regards to speed as well. He can do it with such quickness that people won't even notice he did those type of tricks until it's too late. Like the time when he fought Straitso, and he had these grenades strapped onto Straitso's back, and he pulled the pins at the last moment as it exploded Straitso in the building itself. And mind you, Joseph was inside that building too, and he survived that explosion as well. So that does help with the durability as well. But he was unscathed by that though. So yeah, there's that. So basically, Joseph is very analytical. He's very powerful for a peak human. He's very smart and all. But his biggest weaknesses here is basically, well, he is human. And the thing about the Ripple here is that while it's very powerful and versatile, if you do enough sufficient force to the Ripple user, they will lose that power, eventually becoming defenseless. Like, if Joseph gets too much damage, he will lose his control of the Ripple over time, and he will eventually die. And yeah, it doesn't make the Ripple user invincible either. He also has this attack that with the Ripple, like he pulls enemies' hairs. Well, I will mention something like that in the outcome later on, but yeah, but it also creates a barrier, but the disadvantage of that barrier is that it can be broken with sufficient force over time, and there's that. And yeah, but other than that though, Joseph is basically one of the coolest characters ever. He's so badass, he's so funny, and he always thinks he's got his plans under control, which they do, but then he ends up goofing around and hitting himself in the head with one of the clackers. But still, Joseph is a very, very badass combatant. So, with Yang and Joseph set, who I personally think is going to win? Now, I actually think this is actually a pretty close fight, actually. This is interesting here because we got Yang, in my opinion, who is, in my opinion, much better in terms of stats than Joseph. But then we got Joseph, who's actually fought characters with much better stats and always prevails and all of that. And we have Yang, who has better weapons and better versatility, in my opinion, because she has the Embasilica and the robotic arm, and they help provide long-range and close-range combat easily. Whereas Joseph, he does have the clackers, although they don't have the long-range capabilities of Yang's. They do have long-range attacks, but they're not projectiles. Yeah, so there's that. And he does have a Thompson gun, but it doesn't really have a lot of melee feats aside from just whacking straight so in the back. But there's that. But he also does have a lot of melee attacks as well. Like I said, Zoom Punch, Ripple Overdrive, which is really cool. So there's that. So deciding on who will win here is kind of tricky though, because Yang has better stats, like I said before, and then Joseph is actually smarter than Yang, and it all comes down to who will eventually prevail in the long run, and because of his unpredictability, right? Joseph is in a very comfortable position against Yang because when Yang will get more unpredictable to Joseph, he will do a couple of tricks up his sleeve and all that. He'll even taunt Yang and say, "You're probably about to say this and that," and Yang will say it and all. So that's pretty awesome though. But unfortunately, I will have to say, in my honest opinion, despite what Joseph is capable of, I personally think that Yang Xiaolong will win this fight. Now, the interesting thing here is that while Joseph has defeated superior characters in terms of stats, right, he has done it with prep time. Now, that's another factor I was going to come into play, is prep time. Now, Joseph is still very crafty without prep time, but he doesn't know anything about Yang Xiaolong's capabilities until it's too late, really. And Yang is also, in my opinion, much faster than Joseph. I mean, she has reacted to massively hypersonic characters before, whereas Joseph, he has reacted to the 3 Pillar Men, which are also massively hypersonic, but it's more or less like a very close speed gap. It's like a 10% in favor of Yang Xiaolong, but still, Yang is still faster in terms of travel speed, especially travel speed when she uses the Ember Silica Gauntlets to launch her into the air and all that. But Joseph will prolong the fight though with his intellect. He'll go for unpredictable tactics like try and trap Yang into his clackers. But then Yang is going to break out of those clackers anyway and eventually land a hit on Joseph, which he will try to dodge the attack. But eventually he will get hit, and once he gets hit by Yang, he will be dead because, like I said before, Yang's punches do pack the firepower of a shotgun blast at base strength. But what Joseph might try and do to Yang is grab her hair and use it as barriers, and no, not a good idea. Yang will get more pissed off, activate a semblance, multi-building level attack on Joseph. Yeah, that's basically it. So, Joseph may have defeated superior stats characters before, but so that kind of feat basically required prep time. It's like Batman versus Superman when Batman defeated Superman through prep time. Basically, it's like Joseph Joestar versus the 3 Pillar Men this time around. So, in my honest opinion, the winner is Yang Xiaolong. So thank you guys for watching this video. I know it is a pretty interesting video and also very bizarre to do, but I just had a busy week and all that, so yeah, there's that. But as for next time, it's going to be Rodan and Mothra from the Godzilla series, and also Rodan and Rebirth of Mothra as well. So there's that. And this is one of my childhood matchups. I have to be honest here. This is possibly my favorite kaiju matchup to date because, interestingly enough, Rodan and Mothra have fought, but Rodan and Mothra have never fought each other when Mothra is out of full form. Well, until Godzilla King of the Monsters comes out this year. But until then, I'll just focus more on their previous incarnations and all that. So there's that. And yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun to research. So, as for the ending pun for Yang versus Joseph, I'm thinking more like, looks like Joseph just made Yang angry. Or, looks like Yang got too angry for Joseph. And guess what? What a bizarre way to end it. Oh well, thank you guys for watching.